Hello and welcome. We'll carry on in our study of the 20th century poetry. Today's poets are Philip Larkin and W.B. Yeats. After completing this lesson, you should be able to contextualize Larkin and Yeats within modernist poetry, analyze the thematic and stylistic features of Toads, a poem by Larkin, and analyze the thematic and stylistic features of Sailing to Byzantium by W.B. Yeats. So, having been introduced to youths and housemen, you will be able to study in this lesson two more modernist poets, Philip Larkin and Yeats, along with one poem by each. We'll start with Philip Larkin. Philip Larkin was born on the 9th of August 1922 in Coventry, English Midlands. After school, he was appointed to the position of librarian in Wellington, Shropshire. Most of his life, he was librarian at the University of Hull. He didn't get married, but had many relationships. Some of his poems are Mr. Blenny, and Arundel Tomb, Dockery and Son, and Toads Revisited. Philip Larkin is a leading voice of the movement. What is movement? The movement is a group of English writers who rejected the new romantic style of Yeats and Dylan Thomas. They have universal themes of morality, love, and human solitude. And regarding Philip Larkin, he is deeply antisocial. He was against society and social interactions, and he died in 1985. Now we will read his poem, Toads, and then we will cast the light on its thematic and stylistic features. Toads. Why should I let the toad work square on my life? Can't I use my wit as a pitchfork and drive the brute off? 6 days of the week it soils with its sickening poison, just for paying a few bills. That's out of proportion. Lots of folk live on their wits, lecturers, lesbos, lozels, loplolly men, louts, they don't end as paupers. Lots of folk live up lanes, with fires in a pocket, eat windfalls and tin sardines. They seem to like it. Their neighbors have got bare feet. Their unspeakable wives are skinny as whippets, and yet no one actually starves. To shall stuff your pension, but I know all too well that's the stuff that dreams are made on. For something sufficiently toad-like squats in me too. Its hankers are heavy as hard luck and cold as snow, and will never allow me to blarney the fame and the girl, my way to getting the fame and the girl and the money all at one setting. I don't say one body's the other, one spiritual truth. But I do say it is hard to lose either when you have both. Now, to warm up, you have to answer these questions. Number 1, how do you feel about toads? The one in the picture. What's the poet's attitude towards them? How does he feel about them? Is he happy with them? Angry, sad, what? Is Larkin's contact with toads positive or negative? You have to decide. And if positive, how? If negative, how? Now the theme of toads. What is the theme of toads? The theme of the poem is work. He is comparing the work he despises to a toad. The idea of work being a toad is a metaphor, and the title suggests this. So the toad, the creature itself, and the entity in the poem of Philip Larkin is representative of his work, how he gets fed up with that work. The second half of the poem suggests that there is a second toad which is like his conscience in his mind. He wishes that he could give up his job and live the life of the poor people, as it doesn't seem to be that bad when he describes their way of life. So here we have two types of toads. One is external, that means outside the poet himself. The other is internal, inside his mind. Both of them are disturbing to him. The main ideas of the poem. The poet wonders whether life would be better if he didn't work, if he was not working as a librarian. Will his life be better? He tells us how poor people don't have such a bad life. They seem to like it. No one actually starves. No one dies out of hunger. The last three stanzas show repetition. That is, squats in me too. His artistic conscience seems to be the second toad in his mind, or in his life, the internal one. And this seems to be the reason why he can't get rid of it, of his artistic side. It squats on his life and brings him down. The style. The first stylistic feature of the poem is rhetorical questions. What is rhetorical question? The rhetorical question is asked and it doesn't need an answer by the person to whom it is addressed. It is meant to what? To cast the light on an idea. So, there are rhetorical questions which are asked in the first stanza. Some of them are, why should I let the toad work, squat on my life? The reader is inclined to agree with what he is saying. He uses a conversational tone in his writing. They seem to like it. Stuff your pension. This style, a conversational tone, makes the reader feel involved in the poem. His word choice is particularly effective when he is describing the poor people's lifestyle. 10 sardines. They are eating 10 sardines. Larkin includes some pretty unpleasant sensory details and imagery in toads. He wants us to really experience the speaker's distaste and disdain for the toad work. See, the toad is a nasty and creepy creature. That's why he used it to represent his work and how he is or he feels bored of it. The word squat is unpleasant. Soils and sickening poison are undeniably unpleasant in sound and association. Some words are repeated to reflect the poem's mood. The tone is very lame. They seem to like it. No one actually starves. However, it seems unconvincing. The poet cannot convince us of his ideas. He is trying to convince himself to leave his job, but he can't because of the second thought in his mind, the internal one. He wishes he could, but he is not brave enough to take the step and move on with his life. Now it's your turn. Your assignment, you'll find it in the attached file entitled Assignment 3. Now we'll move on to the second poem, Sailing to Byzantium by W.B. Yeats. And this is an expressive picture of the Byzantine civilization. First, we have to cast the light on the poet Yeats' family. William Butler Yeats, his full name. He was born in Dublin, Ireland on the 13th of June, 1865. The Yeats family were Anglicans living in a deeply Catholic Ireland. That means they were minority in Ireland. The Yeats family moved to London when William was very young. When Yeats was 11, he went to a grammar school in England. His family moved back to Ireland where he attended high school. Yeats attended an art school but left it after 2 years to pursue becoming a writer. W.B. Yeats is primarily seen as a modernist poet. He was also, in addition to being a poet, he was a playwright, an essayist, a social critic, and a short story writer. His greatest influences were the great English romantics, namely P.B. Shelley, Spenser, and Blake. He attempted to mix English and Irish culture. He took a special interest in Irish folklore, the occult, and the Oriental. Yeats died in France on 28th of January 1939. Now we'll read the poem, Sailing to Byzantium, and then we'll explain it. That is no country for old men, the young in one another's arms, birds in the trees, those dying generations at their song, the salmon falls, the mackerel, crowded seas, fish, flesh, or fowl command all summer long, whatever is begotten, born, and dies, caught in that sensual music all neglect, monuments of an aging intellect. An aged man is but a paltry thing, a tattered coat upon a stick, unless soul clap its hands and sing, and louder sing, for every tatter in its mortal dress, nor is there singing school but studying, monuments of its own magnificence, and therefore I have sailed the seas and come to the holy city of Byzantium. O sages, standing in God's holy fire, as in the gold mosaic of a wall, come from the holy fire, born in a jar, and be the singing master of my soul. Consume my heart away, sick with desire, and fastened to a dying animal. It knows not what it is, and gather me into the artifice of eternity. Once out of nature, I shall never take my bodily form from any natural thing, but such a form as Grecian goldsmiths make of hammered gold and gold enameling to keep a drowsy ember awake, or set upon a golden bow to sing to lords and ladies of Byzantium of what is past or passing or to come. Yeah, this is a map that shows the Byzantine civilization. See, Byzantium was an ancient Greek city on the site that later became Constantinople, the modern Istanbul. The city was the capital of the Byzantine Empire until 1453, when it became the capital of the Ottoman Empire, today's Turkey. Yet saw the Byzantine Empire along with the Renaissance as one of the high points of civilization. Now we have to cast the light on Yeats and the motive of sailing to Byzantium. What makes Yeats write this poem, and why he has to address it to the Byzantine civilization? The poem was published in 1928. Yeats was old, and he was afraid his inevitable end approached him. Age and immortality play a big part in the poem. The world around Yeats was changing as the old world slipped into the new, and he felt conscious about that change from the old into the new. He studied the occult all his life, hoping to unite himself with something more than the temporary world around him. Now I'll have an analysis of the poem stanzas. In the first stanza, there is no country for old men. When he says that, the poem opens with this line. The speaker in the poem makes a conclusive statement about the physical Eden, the garden, in the poem, in that poem. The speaker states in the first line of the first stanza that this poem will be about old age. Yeats contrasts an Eden-like vision, a vision of the garden or paradise, of a bountiful place, with visions of age and physical decay and death. Second stanza, and this stanza reflects on aging as a speaker compares an old man with a scarecrow. The scarecrow is described as worn and tattered, but by adding the word unless, the speaker seems to offer another choice, sailing to Byzantium. So the scarecrow in the poem is a metaphor where the poet has to compare an old man with a scarecrow. The metaphysical singing of the soul is contrasted with the first stanza's birds physically singing. This implies the immortal soul sings out inside the aging body. The sages invoked in the first line of the third stanza are mystics and masters of occult knowledge, to which he was affiliated. W.B. Yeats was affiliated. The occult knowledge was studied by Yeats himself. Fire has powerful symbolism in this stanza. The sages stand in the holy fire of God, and the speakers ask for his heart to be consumed in a sacrifice. Age is also brought up again. The heart is fastened to a dying animal, while the immortal soul begs for eternity. In the fourth stanza, the speaker imagines escaping the physical world and his aged body and becoming a jeweled bird made to amuse Byzantine emperors. By leaving the birds in the trees in the old world and becoming a bird himself in the next, the speaker creates a sense of unity in his quest for immortality and meaning. The form and structure of the poem. The structure is concise. It has a concise language. Its verse form is called otarima. What is otarima? Otarima verse style is related to the stanza having 8 lines. The otorima's rhyme scheme should be A, B, A, B, A, B, C, C. The poem is styled in an iambic pentameter. That means 5 metrical feet, which follows the pattern of unstressed followed by stressed syllables. Sailing to Byzantium has lots of symbols, and the poetry of W.B. Yeats is symbolic in general and in nature. Sailing to Byzantium has at least 2 symbolic readings, both mutually interdependent upon the other. The poem is about the journey taken by a speaker's soul around the time of death. It is also about the process by which the artist uses art to transcend his own mortality. We have finished. So you are supposed now to be clear about the modernist aspects of Larkin's and Yeats' poetry as represented by the studied poem. You have also to do the assignment in the attached file entitled Assignment 3.